And welcome back to Simple Rockets 2. On to the next challenge. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging. We're going to have to land on Luna. So we've got a build challenge. So we want to build. So yeah, got to build as well as fly and land on the surface of Luna. So land on Luna using as little fuel as possible. Apollo 11 did this back in 1969 with an onboard computer less powerful than your phone. So it should be easy, right? So you must use less than 50,000 litres of fuel to win. Well, that's a launch we've already got, so we'll try with that first, I think. Okay, so the booster we have on the spacecraft is 49.9 kilolitres that we used before. So I think we'll stay with this. All we need to do is add some landing legs. That's really all we need to do. Just get onto there. There we go. I think to save weight, we'll put 3 on. I am tempted to modify the tank and just make it a little bit squat. Wider, but squat. Probably should have done that before I put the undercarriage on, but never mind. Okay. So we'll take the nose off for a second. So I'll put a gyroscope on here. So I think try and shorten that down a little bit. Don't need as much weight, much power. So you'll probably save a little bit. Don't even feel 50.9. So we need to oh dear me, I forgot about that. Taking all that off is pretty useless because of the chip on top. So I'll put that back. What have we got now? Okay, so we've got no fuel in the nose cone. $2,419. Is that correct? Oh, 0.5 over. Okay. We shall... Oh, that's good. So it's filled the tank back up. 50.4. So I think rather than emptying that tank out, I think we'll empty one of these lower tanks. Just a little bit. 49.5. Yeah, that's a little bit too little. So this stage is using methalox. This stage using hydrolox, bit of a mixture. And the lowest stage is using kerolox. Okay, I don't think we'll do it like that. I think we'll fill this back up. So we need to lose under 0.5. So what do I have in here? 1911. Yeah, probably a little bit too much there. And we'll reposition these. I think it's that. Yeah, there we go. So it's exactly the same as KSP. We've got to translate too. It's just saying we don't have any fairings, so we can recolour this as well. So I think we'll do that. What colour? Black? Yeah. Right. Because we can't mix our own colours together if we wanted to, but right now we'll save the playing around. until we start doing sandbox missions. I think that'll do. Don't make it too fancy to spend too much time on this. Okay, so I think that should be it. Ah, 50.3. Damn it. Good grief. Pretty sure I took enough fuel out of that. Don't empty too much out of this because otherwise it's going to cause issues. Okay. We just deploy these. Yeah, a little bit too big. Deploy angle, so you can modify the angle. I think a nice wide stance, even though we have got quite a low tank now. Try and bring the COM, or the centre of mass, down as low as possible. That should do. Should save on mass a little bit as well. Okay. Oh, 50.2. Try and bring this down a little bit. Okay, so now what? That should be enough, surely. 49.8. If that's filled up, first stage is filled. Second stage, so put a little bit. Now I don't know if this is actually going to work or not because I have enabled fuel flow through the chip, the control chip, but it just depends whether it actually wants to work or not. It doesn't always want to work. And they look a little bit too low. That'll do. 49.9. Okay. Right, so what performance do we have? Okay, so first stage, still 1.7 minutes, 1.63 TWR, which means we can throttle it right back. Next stage, which is the hydrolock stage, because there's 2 minute burn time, 1.66. And final stage gives us 0.18 TWR in the vacuum, of course. So at the sea level, 1.4, and that should easily be doing that. We should be able to do it in that. Of course, we can't get this back, and it's not part of the mission. We'll do that in sandbox with a much more complicated lander and a much larger booster. But right now, let's head out and actually get onto the surface of Luna without destroying the spacecraft. Okay, so here we go. Lunar landing with less than 50 kilolitres of fuel used. I'm going to be upright as well, which is obvious. Can't roll over. Okay, full throttle is on. I'm going to go for quite a low, shallow orbit first of all. Throttle back to about 60%. This helps with gravity time. 20 degrees. $85 kilometers approximately. 10% fuel remaining. 9 seconds, 8, 7, 6. Let this stage burn out, so I'll kick it a little bit higher. Okay, we don't want to lose too much energy. So we'll just keep our acceleration just enough on the throttle to keep just accelerating. .7 minutes. Got to negative. Got to about 60% again. If it lets me. There we go. 32.3 kilolitres used of fuel. 1.6 minutes remaining on this stage. Don't need to go crazy. Just need to get into orbit as efficiently as possible. Now perhaps this is 35 seconds away and it's coming down. Back to 0. I don't want to touch that. There we go. (2,500 meters per second). That should be it. Ooh, a little bit too high. 194.7 by 116.5. Okay. Got to about 9 seconds worth of fuel remaining, so we'll see where we are. And we'll use up the rest of the fuel before we plot. Okay, so I think we'll plot about here, but we'll burn off the fuel first. Okay, about there. Let's check it. No, not like that. Yep, seems fine. Before we plot the course, the throttle is down. Okay, engine is live. Okay, let the spacecraft move on a little bit so I can plot the course cleanly. Needs to go around again anyway. So I'll plot it about... I'll try about there for now. Pin the map options. (1,246) 3.76 hours. 506.7, 3.54 hours. A little bit further. 243.6. 192, that 3.4 hours, that'll do. Gonna lock it. Engage the autopilot. Okay, so we'll go around. 57.7 minutes. It's 959 meters per second. Burn time is NA because we haven't fired the engine yet. Once it fires, we'll know exactly how long it takes. It's probably at least maybe 7 or 8 minutes. But we're well inside. We're allowed to use. Get rid of that. Don't need that now. Because we've got 297 ISP, 20.2 minute burn time, 3,860 meters per second. Okay. So let this burn take place. Okay, so that's the initial capture burn completed. 205.9 kilometers by 114.9. About 2 minutes away from the apoapsis. So that's where we need to bring the periapsis down. But I want to bring the apoapsis down instead, because I don't want to circularize about 100 by 100, and that way we're not going to run out of altitude before we hit the surface. So we can actually stop our speed laterally as close to zero as possible before we actually hit the surface vertically. So it's always the danger. Well, TWR is about 3 to 1 at maximum during that burn. As we lose mass, it should go up. Obviously, that's lateral. Vertically, it will probably lose about maybe it's about 50% of that. So it'll be about between 1.5 and 2 to 1. Okay, let's head to the map view. Nice flat surface there. So I think we will modify the orbit before we reduce it in altitude anymore. Where's 50-50? About there. Let's bring it down. Got plenty of fuel, we know we have. Let's get rid of that. Just so we pass over. About 99 meters a second, 35-second burn. It's almost in daylight. Almost fully in daylight, so we should come down somewhere around about here. That's a good idea, I think. Okay, let's do that. Lock it. And just touch the fuel a little bit. Should use too much. So we are at about 150 kilometers. Yeah, about 150 kilometers in altitude above ground level. That's quite good, actually. It's going to take us quite a while, so we'll start braking a little bit before then. We shall have to watch the. We'll watch the line. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to stay level with the horizon. And stay at 270, which is where we are. So give it that. Okay, so full throttle. Okay, so we are slightly out. So I'll match the prograde and retrograde markers instead, which is about 281. But the attitude as far as vertical is concerned, we'll stay at 0 pitch. Just past 500 meters a second, decelerate at 3.3 meters per second squared, which is pretty good. Yep, TDY is 3.55. I expect that to go down as we descend. A little bit of vertical speed, 330 meters a second. So that's the danger if you start to burn too low. If you bring your altitude too low, I think you're going to use less fuel. It actually turns out that you'd have enough time to brake before you hit the surface vertical speed that you just can't recover from. Okay, 330. Start to see the green prograde marks and retrograde marks here and here. Start to head down vertically. Just went out the way. 275. Let's head down as close to vertical as possible, so I want this to read 0. Good altitude, I'm over 100 kilometers in altitude, 117. There's plenty of time to brake. .2 minutes worth of fuel. Start to reduce the throttle a little bit in a few moments. 60 meters a second. Six meters a second. 5, 4, 3. Come on. No. Okay. Go to retro. Take control of this. Should be that way. .100 kilometers, so we're not in any rush. 2 meters a second. Come on, 1 meter a second. 1 meter a second. 180, 190 meters a second. It does tend to bounce a little bit. .200 meters a second. Let it accelerate a little bit in vertical. Now it's about, I'll say about 250 meters a second. Now we can increase the throttle. Okay, so what we need to do, once we hit 250 meters a second, bring the acceleration there to 0. I was close to it. .3 kL used in fuel. .250 meters a second and 0 acceleration, although it could actually be decelerating. There we go. Don't want to see any lateral movement whatsoever. 75 kilometers. As we lose mass, you might see it accelerate a little bit off, even without touching the throttle. That's a nice flat surface. Or at least it looks it from here anyway. Doesn't actually mean it is. More than likely not. 67 kilometers. So I think it's about between 40 and 35 kilometers in altitude. I'll put full throttle on. .254. I'll keep that down. Now you'd think as you lose mass, you'd actually require less throttle to keep it 0. But as you get close to the surface of the of any planet or any moon, any body, the gravitational field increases in strength. So that's actually the opposite. .255. Don't want it to go too much higher. 254 on this reading, but 255 here. Okay. 50. Come on to 50 kilometers. So I think go to full throttle at 40 kilometers and bring it down to about 100 meters a second. Okay, 40. Okay, 3, 2, 1. 2.7 meters per second squared. Decelerating pretty nicely. 2.8 meters. It's not too bad. So we are increasing now. Laterally is now 1 meter a second. Which way is that? Ah, it's the other way. Of course, ideally, I'd rather use RCS for control. No. So lateral must be towards and away from us, this side, this way, rather than... Never mind. 110 meters a second, 26 kilometers. .6 minutes worth of fuel. Come on. We'll hold at zero acceleration, 104 meters per second. 49.5 kl of fuel used. Yeah, laterally still 1 meter a second. Yet really the heading hold should... that should be the direction we're travelling, either that way or this way. Left... yeah, across left or right. And just doesn't seem to be like that though. Supposed to be drifting sideways effectively. As in we're heading that way. Shouldn't cause an issue. Though I've only got 3 landing legs. So ideally I'm hoping it's this direction. Yeah, it's your shallow crater, but it's not too bad. Okay, 11.5 kilometers, 107 meters per second, 3.1 minutes worth of fuel. Okay, according to that, that is slightly off vertical. So really, if you push in this direction, it should. No, it's the other direction, isn't it? Of course, it's opposite. Silly me. There we go. See the green bar moving. Okay. .5,000 meters. It's got a full throttle. Like descent rate straight all the way down. A bit more detail now. 40 meters a second. Okay. Down to, if it lets me. Yeah, it's very sensitive to the throttle. Down to 10 meters a second. I can see that. No, 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 no. The other way. Silly mate. Okay, let's let it go down a little bit further, I think. A little bit faster. Two minutes worth of fuel remaining. Can't afford to be hovering too long. Oh, never mind. We'll have to leave it at that. That's all there is to it. $500 meters. Okay, 9 meters a second holding. Yeah, we're going right off now. That is rather awkward. Got a shadow. 2 meters a second. Try and hold it there as much as possible. Oh! Phew! 49.7. Let's get rid of that. So 49.7 kiloliters worth of fuel. Land. Must be upright. Yeah, it was moving slightly over that direction. I thought it was. Okay. I think probably the safe thing to do for future reference is once you close onto the surface, turn the gyro off, because it tends to do a little bit of confusion, cause a little bit of confusion with the attitude control. Okay, but that's that. So that's the first landing on Luna, at least build challenge, and then getting to Luna and landing on it. Obviously, in the sandbox, that'll come up in a handful of videos in this series. We will be building a much larger booster, no limits in sandbox, and we'll be trying to land and then return back to orbit and then return back safely to Jundroo. But that's the end of this episode. Okay, so that's the first lunar challenge landing completed.